A quick look now at Africa's business this hour and coming up. In South Africa, activist groups are uniting against government plans to allow shale gas exploration in the Karoo. Zimbabwe is projecting an economic growth rate of 6.1% next year, up from 3.4% this year on the back of rising revenues. The projection that comes 2 weeks before a visit by an IMF monitoring delegation forecasts revenues to rise to $4.4 billion next year, up from $3.7 billion this year, most likely from expedited sales of diamonds following the removal of some sanctions on the government by the European Union. Now, nominal gross domestic product is expected to hit $15.5 billion over the period. The Southern African country is experiencing an economic slowdown on the back of a decline in agricultural output and some jitters surrounding the July 31st election that was won by veteran leader Robert Mugabe. Now, despite ongoing opposition to fracking in South Africa, the government has allowed prospecting companies to proceed with shale gas exploration. The government lifted a 6-month moratorium that was imposed earlier in the year after a public outcry over the negative impact hydraulic fracturing could have on the environment. CCTV's Sumitra Naidu with the story.
Environmental groups are still fighting the government's decision to go ahead with shale gas exploration in the Karoo. Jonathan Deal is heading up the fight against fracking. To date, he spent millions of rands fighting government and is still not willing to back down.
My concern is simply this, that if prosperity today undermines the prosperity of future generations, then it's not worth having.
The Karoo spans 400,000 square kilometers between the Western and Northern Cape. It's home to the black rhino, over 200 bird species and thousands of unique plant species. The region's climate is perfect for sheep and ostrich farming, an important export market for South Africa.
The Karoo has a separate identity as a region, and that identity has been merged with the product value. And we think that that could compromise the ability of the farmers in the Karoo to sell their product. So that is a major concern.
Thousands of tourists also visit the region to see the unique flora.
We've got more than 6,000 plants in this area, of which 40% are endemic, and I am scared to think that if something bad happens, what the influence will be on the whole area.
More South Africans are moving away from the big city life, seeking peace and tranquility out in the countryside. There's also been a marked shift in recent years of South Africans wanting to become more eco-friendly. But South Africa's energy needs are rising. According to a government-commissioned study, there's over 600 trillion cubic feet of technically recoverable shale gas in the Karoo. These reserves are estimated to be the 8th biggest in the world and could be the answer to South Africa's power needs. The study estimates that the gas find could generate $1 trillion in sales, which will give the country's economy a much-needed boost and create employment.
South Africa is the biggest economy in Africa and has the most developed energy infrastructure. South Africa faces a major energy challenge, and it's part of government policy to find a solution to that.
Substantial amounts of water are used in hydraulic fracturing. South Africa is already facing water shortages. The Karoo is a semi-arid region, and the big worry now is that fracking will destabilize the groundwater table.
We're scared about that, because you can imagine if the water, which is the lifeline of everything, is polluted. I'm not saying they are going to do it, but if it is polluted, the whole area here will be demolished and you can't survive.
For now, it seems that exploration is still set to go ahead, and whether this will cause irreversible damage to the Karoo region will only become clear once the drilling is done. Sumitra Naidu, CCTV.
Well, let's now take a look at how the markets fared in early morning trade across the continent. And the Nigerian Stock Exchange all share was up 0.45%. The JSE 20 share up 0.40%. The NSE 20 share in Nairobi shedding 0.51%, while Egypt's EGX in Cairo was up 0.57%.